rocking around the Christmas tree, something, something, I don't remember the words. Oh, hi! How you doing? You like my tree? 'Tis the season, you know, for joy and candy canes and fat guys breaking into people's homes. You put a star on top of it. You know, you like my star? Okay, fine, I get it, okay? The title doesn't say, A Furry Space Pirate Explains Logan's Run, okay? I get it. But can you blame me? Think about it. I mean, really think about it. Logan's Run? Does that really put you in the holiday spirit? Granted, that's my fault. I didn't plan this out very well, and as a result, my first round of movies have been all over the place, but Logan's Run could be a fun movie for January. A fun way to start the new year. I needed to pick a movie, though, that felt more upbeat. Something fun with twists and turns, action and adventure, as a nice way to end off the year as we spend time with friends and family. So I picked Galaxy Quest, a movie starring Tim Allen. Which, I mean, come on! That's basically like Santa Claus being captain of the Enterprise, right? So let's grab ourselves a nice hot chocolate, fresh off the replicator, and sit down around the cozy heat of the warp core and enjoy these historical documents on our very own Galaxy Quest! You do like my tree though, right? Galaxy Quest is a special movie and holds a place in the hearts of just about every sci-fi fan. It's a highly celebrated movie that represented the culture of the time and is a nice look back at what being a sci-fi fan was truly about. It uses the TV show Star Trek as an inspiration for the movie universe, attempting to capture the magic of the franchise and the affection that has been shared by those who have both worked on the show and by those who simply admire it. Although at the time, you would have never imagined something like that, as around the time Galaxy Quest was announced, Star Trek fans, known as Trekkies, had mixed concerns over the movie, with some believing it was going to be a mean-spirited riff on Star Trek, leading some Trekkies to outright avoid the movie, thinking it would just be an insult to them and the show they were fans of. It was directed by David Howard, who also wrote the movie alongside Robert Gordon. The two initially had plans of making the movie more adult-oriented, but DreamWorks didn't jive with that and wanted to be more family-friendly. Frankly, though, I think it paid off in that regard. Tim Allen got the lead role as Jason Nesmith, and from what I've been able to dig up, Tim Allen is apparently a huge sci-fi fan. His IMDb movie list includes classics such as The Day the Earth Stood Still and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Tim Allen even stated that his dream was to captain a starship, and so you can imagine his excitement was probably through the roof getting the opportunity to star in Galaxy Quest. Alan Rickman would also have a role in this movie, alongside Tim Allen. He would act as Jason Nesmith's counter-personality, Alexander Dane. Thing is, though, Rickman didn't really like sci-fi, nor was he a fan of Tim Allen's upbeat mood when it came to the job. Alan Rickman is an actor first and foremost, and he could not stand Tim's easygoing nature. At one point, Tim Allen even had to resign himself to his trailer because a scene became too emotionally draining for him to handle, and he needed a break. Alan Rickman would then quip, "Oh my god, I think he experienced acting." Later on, though, he would admit that Tim Allen actually did a good job when the cameras were rolling. He was still an asshole, though. Rest in peace, legend. Despite the turbulent production, however, Galaxy Quest would release in theaters in the year 1999. I could not help myself with that edit. I really couldn't. Good show. Watch it. It's free on YouTube right now. Now, upon its release, Trekkies quickly shifted their opinions on the movie after pleasantly realizing that it wasn't mean-spirited at all, but was instead a love letter, both to Star Trek and its base of loyal fans. In fact, it's been regarded as an honorary Star Trek movie by the fandom, so much so that it was considered the 7th movie in the franchise after a vote in 2013. What? It is also believed to have kept the curse of Star Trek movies enforced. And if you're unfamiliar with the Star Trek movie curse, basically the way it works is all the odd-numbered Star Trek movies would often turn out with, what's the nice way of saying? Lesser quality than the even-numbered ones? However, if Galaxy Quest is considered Star Trek 10, then it, and it alone, would have been responsible for the poor reception of Nemesis and Into Darkness, which were movies 10 and 12 respectively. Galaxy Quest's inclusion in the movie timeline, however, would bump those movies up to 11 and the most cursed number, 13, turning what were once movies with great potential into piles of burning garbage. That is, if you believe in silly numbers and curses. Or actually like J.J. Abrams. I must confess before we begin, however, that growing up, I was more a Star Wars kid than a Star Trek one, so I may be a bit ignorant to certain references toward the show, but that doesn't change how super excited I am to talk about this movie. Is it truly a classic? Or is it overhyped? Well, let's put the pedal to the metal as we depart the starport on our own Galaxy Quest. The movie begins with a proud flashing of the movie title as a starship exits warp speed, or as Child refers to it, a time knot. The crew appear to have narrowly escaped a dire situation and are having a moment of respite.
I grab Thar's hammer, we live to tell the tale.
Woman says that all systems are functional, but the commander doesn't like how easy their escape was. Suddenly, alarms blare as Child realizes that there are multiple time knot signatures surrounding the ship. It's an ambush by, I don't know, Klingons maybe. Lasers hit the ship as the IT technician warns of an unstoppable core meltdown. Alien says that surrender is their only option.
No, never give up, never surrender.
Child asks the commander for orders as dramatic music plays. The commander ponders for a brief moment and gives the all-important order.
Activate the Omega-13.
Not the bad number! Turns out what we were actually watching was an episode from the in-universe TV series Galaxy Quest, and it was aired here at GalaxyCon, where fans known as Questerians, sound familiar, have met up to celebrate their favorite show. I've actually never been to a convention, but that's mostly out of having no interest in being in heavy social situations. I can't stand large groups of people, even if I know those people. Apparently what we saw was a lost episode from the series that was made in 1982, meaning fans probably got a nice treat just now. But while the fans are out celebrating Galaxy Quest, the cast, waiting just backstage, well, let's just say they're not feeling the holiday spirit, if you catch my drift. Seasonal video needs seasonal references. Former child, now turned adult Tommy Weber, furiously asks about where Jason is, as he is an hour and a half late.
Gordon, you lousy motherfucker. Get your dork ass down to the test chamber, or else I will shove the sample up your ass. And stop fucking with the microwave!
The cast is all concerned as they know the fans are very hungry to see their heroes on a real stage. Jason had also apparently booked another appearance somewhere without the rest of the cast. They're obviously not happy about that. A stagehand tells the speaker to stall for a bit, while Alexander Dane, serious actor, has an existential crisis.
I can't go out there and I won't say that stupid line one more time.
Gwen DeMarco, the boobs, explains that he should be more grateful to have fans who love his character, because her only real role in the show was to repeat the computer, among other reasons.
I mean, my TV Guide interview was 6 paragraphs about my boobs and how they fit into my suit.
And you thought I was kidding about the boobs thing.
Whew! Your commander is on deck. Ha ha! Wow, that smog is thick today, huh? Am I too late for Alexander's panic attack?
So you might have guessed it from how I set it up earlier, but you might notice how both Alan's character and Alan's character, I thought that was clever, kind of mirror their actual story in a way. The uptight guy who doesn't much care for the fun-loving idiot. Alan Rickman actually decided to use that as his motivation in the movie. And so that energy radiates from his performance in a way that feels more genuine than it should. But it works extremely well. I can't fault him for that. After all, he was a professional. Rest in peace, legend. Jason clearly senses that everyone is pissed, while the fans chant for the cast to come out. They let Jason have it backstage, though, but he lets his ego slip while Alexander makes a run for it. The stagehand returns and signals the go-ahead as the speaker prepares for the cast to roll on out. While Alex and Jason argue, Gwen rushes past them to make it out on stage in time for her introduction. The speaker announces the rest of the cast as they step out, while Jason convinces Alex to stay, citing, "The show must go on." Alex hates that he did that, but caves and goes back in to do his appearance. He doesn't say the line, though.
That makes me a sad panda.
Dude, you can feel the hate emanating from this man. Look at him. That's what pure spite for the world looks like. Then, finally, Jason is announced, and he gets a much bigger presentation than everyone else. You can tell the fans really like him. And I can get why. There's nothing better than an actor who is enthusiastic about their role in something, like Mark Hamill. And despite this being an ego trip for him, he does seem to care about the fans. The speaker from earlier introduces himself to the cast as Guy Fleegman, and he apparently played an extra who died in episode 81 of the TV show to a lava monster. Well, anyways, he wants an autograph. I think Guy is a fan himself. Alexander has fans too, much to his disappointment. Jason, however, eats up the spotlight as he talks to a young fan as if he was the real Commander Taggart. I found that cute. I love actors who do this for their younger fans. Let kids have their imagination. The cast both admire his interactions with fans while also hating on his ego, which is pretty big. Another fan, a boy named Brandon, approaches Jason, but Jason decides to go pay Gwen a visit at her table, brushing off poor Brandon. That happened to me when I went to meet Kevin Smith one time. It was my turn to actually meet him, and then he went out the door behind him before I could say hi or anything. "Why did you run away from me, Kevin? Was it my breath? Tell me!" A couple fans ask Gwen if she and the commander had a thing, to which she responds, no, but Jason adds to the contrary, which upsets Gwen a little and makes the fans excited. Shippers. Gwen leaves, but Jason follows before being cut off by more fans in costumes, speaking in funny voices, saying something about being termites or something. I don't know, probably doesn't matter. Jason interprets this as preparation for that appearance he booked, and tells them to bring a limo by his place in the morning before rushing off to find Gwen, who's taking pictures with fans.
Crewman Madison, the mist of the strange planet is filling my head with such thoughts.
It was cute when I didn't know you.
Damn. He just died. I just watched a man die in front of me. Jason goes into the restrooms and finds himself a stall. Two jock-sounding types waltz in, laughing, talking about how lame Galaxy Quest is, and that nobody, not even the cast, likes Jason. And they have a good laugh at his expense, unaware that they just hurt his ego a little bit. I mean, somebody had to tell him sooner or later, though. Well, this comment affects Jason pretty bad. And when Brandon returns to ask his all-important technical question about the NSEA Protector, Jason goes off on him. Hard. Saying that there is no ship, none of it is real, and then he storms out upset. At least Kevin Smith didn't yell at me about how Silent Bob wasn't actually silent. If he even knew I existed. Why, Kevin? Later that night, Gwen tells Alex over the phone that she was worried about Jason, having never seen him act that way before, especially to a fan. After all, he was enjoying himself earlier. It's almost as if a single comment sent poor Santa falling from his sleigh. More seasonal references. Fucking woohoo! Jason is at home, drunk and pitying himself. He channel surfs for a bit, then comes across an episode of Galaxy Quest, where the character Taggart gives an empowering speech to his crew. Jason loosely follows along by memory. Taggart tells him to never give up and never surrender. This is a great example of the power sci-fi has, or just any good story really. I would have days where my depression would just kick in extra hard, but I would sometimes hear incredible quotes from memorable characters that live rent-free in my mind, like Adama's speech to Lee about how there is no right or wrong decisions, only decisions and consequences. A man must accept responsibility for what they have done. And I remember that one to this day. Seeing Jason watch the show and have it lift him out of his sad mental state is a nice touch that many fans can relate to, even if it's literally him saying it on the TV. I mean, he's got an ego. The movie likes to remind us of this. But he also genuinely loves the thing he's a part of, and it seems he feels strongly about it. You can't really fault him for that. Next morning, Jason passes out on his floor. At least it's a carpet. My actual house has concrete floors. Adding rugs don't help either. It's still concrete underneath that. He hears tapping on the glass outside. It's the weird talking fans from earlier. The, what did they call themselves? Dalmatians? Whatever. They're nerds. Nerds are weird.
Nerd. Yes, I am a nerd. Bookworm, I'm studious. From my cerebral cortex to my gluteus.
So Jason answers the door, and the nerds go on about their Clap-2 Nebula or whatever. I don't think it matters. Jason remembers who they are, despite the hangover, and invites them into his abode. They say that they are very honored to meet him, and he asks them to help him find his other shoe. During the limo ride, one of the nerds introduces himself as Lonk, Senior Requisition Officer, and says that he'll source everything he needs, including weapons for some reason. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about, though. They seem nice enough. Jason asks for a Coke, and they give him one. So Lonk goes on about nebula bursts, and Jason is more interested in learning the girl's name.
Doesn't she talk?
Her translator is broken.
Okie dokie.
Honestly handled that better than I would have. I'd have gone for the throat in a fight or flight response. Jason tells them that he had a late night and to go on telling him everything while he falls asleep pretending to listen. Lonk goes on about Zaktor migrations and Melosian shifts and... You know what? I'm gonna let it play and go to the bathroom. These nerd characters are kind of derailing the tone for me.
Fighting among tree sects and Largoths. Ah, the foolishness. And it was in this time of dissension that
Okay, I'm back. So the commander is at the gig, I suppose. Nerd Girl is finally able to talk and says that Jason is needed on the bridge. Jason finishes his Coke as the Nerd Girl takes him around the building, seemingly to some kind of set. The other two nerds greet Jason, welcoming him to Protector 2. The leader of the group asks if he wants to get his uniform on, but Jason says he'd just like to wing it, because he's got another appointment soon. Another nerd then runs in saying something about Saris. Can you actually give me a minute? I think I just heard the water system start leaking again.
General, I have just received word the Thermians have appointed a new commander to handle the negotiations. What?
All right, I'm back. For good this time. Jason finds the set, finally, and is impressed at how well put together it is. Me too. These guys seem dedicated to their favorite show. Looks better than the original set we saw earlier. One of the nerds gives us some more techno-babble that probably means nothing, and Jason cracks a joke.
Approaching in 5 ticks, sir. Command to slow?
Set it on screensaver 2. I guess we get a
He then apologizes for breaking the mood and tries to get into character. We then see this really well put together puppet or something. Jason thinks it's pretty impressive too. It goes on a long monologue about surrender terms, but Jason decides to speedrun things and orders to blow the puppet up. He then gets up to leave, but the nerds are confused as to why he chose to shoot at the alien puppet thing. He says not to worry about it, mostly just trying to get to his next appointment sooner. The nerds give him a Vox they made, which looks really good. Then the nerds thank him, say goodbye. They then leave him in this utility closet.
God damn it! Captain, the ship's under attack by Blorgs again.
Excuse me.
Hey, where's my limo?
Okay, I'm back. Sorry again, some assholes causing shit in the back. Anyways, the cast is now at a news store for its grand opening, giving an on-brand speech.
By Grabthar's hammer. What a savings.
All right.
Look at that stare into the void he does. He's trying so hard to disassociate. Brandon and his fellow Questerians are out on their voyage looking for Jason again. They manage to bump into him, try to help, but Jason rushes off again. Hearing their disappointment hurts my soul. Jason arrives and, like a real dick, cuts in front of all the fans trying to get autographs. The cast berate him for being late, again, and he just goes on like a madman trying to explain his fever dream or some shit, but it just pisses them off. He tries proving it with his plastic Vox for some reason, but I guess he swapped his with Brandon's earlier when they bumped into each other. Well, those nerds from earlier show up and explain that they need him back at the set, but they do it in their charming Questerian RP voices. These fans are dedicated, I'll give them credit. Jason asks the cast to go with him, but they pack up and leave, pissed off at Jason. Jason tries desperately to convince them, but they don't care. They load up in their cast van, ready to leave, but Fred says that maybe they should have gone with him.
Fred, he was drunk. You really think he was talking about a job?
The cast decide that they want to see the cool set he was talking about and speak to the nerd girl who's talking again. The speaker from earlier, Guy, happens to be there and wants to go with them. And she looks at her watch and requests pods for departure. The floor then lights up underneath the cast, and the nerd girl dissipates into nothing like a hologram.
Oh my god.
Our most sincere apologies. We forgot about our appearance generators.
You guys came. Who wants the grand tour? Anybody else? That was a hell of a thing. What's wrong with them? I don't know. Come on.
Oh. Would you look at that? Why am I not more surprised? I read the back of the box before I started. I already know the premise. Jason takes them all through these corridors that are very nice and streamlined. The cast are still trying to process everything that is happening, and Jason introduces them to Mathazar. Mathazar is in awe of the heroes he's seen defeat evil across the universe in what he calls the historical documents. They're all so enamored. These are true superfans. The Thermians, to me, are very much the embodiment of those fans, like me, who are capable of feeling empathy for fictional characters. We're the ones you'll often see crying in the movie theaters during really sad moments. I don't cry during movies very often, though. I feel empathy for the characters, but I also judge their actions, and that kind of helps me decide if I want to see them make it to the end or not. Like Blonde Lady from Star Crystal. Fuck that bitch. She's useless.
Crewman number... Guy.
Mathazar explains that the historical documents, the Galaxy Quest TV show, have helped to guide the creation of their ship. Gwen asks if they're on the ship now, but Jason says that this is just the starport for the ship. They board an elevator and we get a truly Star Trek-style ship reveal. Star Trek had this thing it liked to do, especially in the motion picture, where they would hold on shots of the Enterprise with triumphant Trekkie music, and we get the same thing here for the NSEA Protector 2. Now, I've heard people refer to this phenomenon as spaceship porn, like it's a bad thing. Yes. Yes, it is. Spaceships are badass. What's your browser history look like? The cast tried to convince Jason that this is a bad idea. They're actors, not astronauts. Jason, however, convinces them to stay, so they can see what's up. I mean, is it every day you get to see a real starship? I'd never leave. We see the main barracks, and as cool as this looks, this place feels like a depressing situation for any spacer. I don't care how authentic your food replicator tastes. If that is my living situation, I'm resigning from Starfleet. Jason orders at ease, and the soldiers do so. Jason is pleased with this.
It's like throwing gasoline on a flame. What?
I'm just jazzed about being on the show, man.
They make it to the bridge, and the crew is stunned. Built by an advanced technological species specifically from watching them. It's a familiar place in an unfamiliar part of the universe. All crew are ordered to positions, and then the cast remembers that that means them, and they go to their positions. Tommy feels like a kid again, and I love seeing that. It's like digging up an old driving controller and going, oh yeah, that was fun. Then you remember you're old now.
Look at yourself, old man. You got multiple chins 'cause you're old.
Mathazar asks if the crew may be present for this historic event, to which Jason grants permission. The crew arrive on the bridge and give their salute.
No pressure, huh? I'm glad I ain't the commander.
Laredo, take us out.
Excuse me?
Tommy isn't so sure about his skills, but gives it the old college try. I must say, though, for a guy with no real piloting experience, he's doing great. Just needs to turn the... Tommy, go to the right. Tommy, go to the right. Tommy! Oh! Oh no! Oh God! Oh! I just keep a straight face. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Ooh, okay, we're out. We're out. Oh my God. Well, it wasn't perfect, but Boy Scout did it. The ship is now out of port and on its way to adventure. The crew is enjoying a lovely meal based on the food of their people, based on the historical documents.
Are you enjoying your Ketmop blood ticks, Dr. Lazarus?
Just like Mother used to make.
I like to imagine that the cast has to sneak him real human food. Alex tries to distract himself from eating by asking about Saris and what exactly they're doing here. Apparently, Saris knows of the fabled Omega-13 and wants it for himself. What is it? Well, the Thermians don't know, and neither does the cast. Tommy asks why they haven't just tested it. But Ted points out that if they are wrong in their calculations, it could literally destroy all matter in the universe. Kinda like an alien hadron collider. The cast is regretting this more and more. When asked how Saris learned of the Omega-13, Mathazar says that their former commander wasn't strong enough, and plays a video for them showing what happened.
Is that all? After 3 days of this, you still require incentive?
I have told you all I know. If you have any mercy within you, please, let me die.
When I grow weary of the noises you make, you shall die!
The cast has decided to turn this role down. The pay is bad, and everyone is an overly dedicated method actor that wants to actually murder them. Guy doesn't even have a name. His destiny in the show is to die to show how bad the situation is. He's not sticking around. Jason tries to convince them to stay, but as it happens, they have no choice. Saris has arrived and is prepared to shoot any outbound pods, meaning they can't leave. The cast heads for the bridge and realize the Thermians aren't there. Mathazar says his people are brilliant scientists and engineers, but they've never been able to win any tactical simulations. They are really counting on these people to be the real deal. Mathazar puts Saris through before Jason can say anything, and Saris is pissed. Jason tries to explain that the whole thing was a misunderstanding, but saying that to a military general is about as useful as "the dog ate my homework." Jason tells Saris that he can have it, but he needs to put it in a box for him. He gives Gwen the cutoff signal and starts telling his crew to prepare for combat, saying that he's as stupid as he is ugly.
Press these red buttons and send everything we have towards him, okay?
Okay.
All right, Gwen. Put me back on with him.
Well, I'm trying to tell you, you are back.
Perhaps I'm not as stupid as I am ugly, Commander.
Gave you the kill gesture.
Yeah, no, you gave me the word dead signal. I was agreeing with you.
Alexander is so over it with these unprofessional losers breaking character every 5 seconds. Guy then tries explaining that a red thingy is moving toward a green thingy, and he thinks they're the green thingy. Saris announces that he has a present for them and fires a missile into their hull. The ship shakes violently and throws the cast and crew around like in the classic Star Trek series. More missiles rain down onto the ship as Tommy gets back in his chair and flees from the attacking Saris. Saris turns to pursue. More missiles fire at them as Jason orders to go faster. What a useful order. Tommy says he's given it all she's got, Captain, but then remembers that the ship had a turbo button in the show. Tommy pushes and holds it down as the ship's turbo moves it rapidly through space. Despite this, however, Saris is able to match their speed.
Enemy is matching velocity!
We had it the first time!
Gosh, I'm doing it. I'm repeating the darn computer.
Fred gets on the horn and in a deadpan tone tells them that the generators won't take it, and that they need to release the turbo or they're going to lose the ship. Jason don't want to stop for nothing, so he orders to hold the turbo. The turbo then gives out, and Saris isn't far behind. Jason thinks they can lose him in the clouds, but Mathazar corrects him.
Mathazar, what is this?
This is the Tothian minefield left standing from the Great War of 12185.
The ship flies into the minefield and the mines lock onto the hull and drift toward them magnetically. The ship is taking a beating as Tommy starts freaking out. The pilot is freaking out. Isn't that hilarious? You ever do that to me and you're fired. Guy panics and hides under the console as the ship pushes through the mines. Saris holds off his attack for now, thinking the Protector will certainly be destroyed in the minefield. While that doesn't happen, they make it to the other side with critical damage, both to the ship and to poor Tommy. Goddamn unsung hero. Mathazar carries Tommy to medical to be treated. If this is going by Star Trek logic, he's going to be healed by the next scene. Alex then decides to leave the bridge to go look for a pub. Yeah, I feel that. Meanwhile, the cast and crew assess the damage to the ship with the computer. There are several structural weaknesses and power failures across the ship. Jason tries to ask the computer about the engines, but it only responds to Gwen's voice. It's funny here because of the premise. It didn't work when Star Crystal pulled this crap.
Why won't this thing answer me?
It's only programmed for my voice.
Well, that's real smart. What if you got killed?
Never thought of that.
So Gwen asks the ship's computer about the engines, and it explains that the ship's beryllium sphere fractured under stress, meaning that it needs to be replaced. A replacement is not available on board, which means they will need to find one. Gwen repeats this, and Tommy wises off.
You know, that is really getting annoying.
Look, I have one job on this lousy ship. It's stupid, but I'm gonna do it, okay?
Sure, no problem.
Mathazar and the crew arrive to apologize, believing that they have failed the cast as they have been seen more successful in more desperate situations on the show. I mean historical documents. Logically, they think the fault must lie with them. Jason attempts to explain the situation, and the cast chime in as well, trying to find the easy way to let them all down. They ask about if Thermia has TV shows or theater, but all they know are the historical documents. Gwen makes one more attempt to ask if they have ever played pretend before, and Mathazar understands this to be, well...
Lies! Deceptions!
Of course, Mathazar doesn't believe the intrepid crew of the NSEA Protector would be capable of such a horrid thing such as lying. So the crew feel like assholes now, even though they should have already felt like assholes when they enabled all this to happen. Granted, you can pin most of this on Jason, but the cast still went along with it, despite knowing better. Jason at least had the defense of ignorance and stupidity, but the cast followed him anyways, despite being the ones who knew this was a bad idea. For shame. If this plot sounds familiar, the movie The Three Amigos from 1986 did the same thing, except it took place in 1916 and featured actors for silent movies aired in small theaters known as Nickelodeons. These actors would go on to fight a real group of thugs for a small town. It's a trip of a movie, too. If you're interested in hearing more about the movie, check out our podcast on Spotify, where Eno and I talk about it. We air new episodes weekly, so if my upload schedule ain't fast enough for you, this is a great place to find me more often. Shameless plug over. Anyways, Fred gets on the horn and explains fuck all, really, because everything he says here is pure technobabble and I don't know. Neither does Jason, but he says yes anyways.
That's right again. Let's come on, group hug. Come on.
I love Fred. Favorite character. The Protector limps its way to a nearby planet, believed to harbor beryllium spheres. Meanwhile, inside, Alex encounters one of his most loyal fans, Quellic. He says that despite being Thermian, he lived his life by the philosophy of Dr. Lazarus from the show. Alex isn't really stoked about that.
Very nice.
By Grabthar's hammer, Dr. Lazarus?
Don't do that. I'm not kidding.
All you have to do is say it, you uptight asshole. Make his day, come on. Quellic is confused, but respects Alex's wishes. In the hangar, a shuttle is prepared for a planetary excursion to locate a beryllium sphere. Quellic gives Alex a surface mapper, which is locked on to the coordinates of a sufficient source. Quellic wishes him good luck, and the cast departs for their next great adventure. Except Guy suddenly doesn't feel good.
Because I'm gonna die 5 minutes in.
Guy, you have a last name.
Do I? Do I?
Yes!
For all you know, I just come in number 6. Bobby! Bobby! Bobby!
Are we there yet?
Car ride with the siblings, anybody? Amazingly, Tommy lands the shuttle safely. Goddamn, Boy Scout, you are impressing everybody today.
Hey, don't open that! It's an alien planet! Is there air? You don't know!
Seems okay.
Seems okay. The crew steps out onto the surface of another world, making undocumented human history. They go forth into the Rocky Canyon. Using the surface mapper, Alex points them in the direction of the beryllium sphere, until Alex realizes he's holding it upside down and then points them in the right direction. The cast argues among themselves until they arrive at an abandoned mining facility. Except there doesn't appear to be anybody here. Not a great sign, but not necessarily bad. Jason spots the spheres and they move in to retrieve one. They enter the mine and encounter a small greenish-blue creature that looks like a small child. The cast hide behind something and watch as several more of these small creatures walk out.
Could they be the miners?
Oh, sure. I mean, they're like 3 years old.
What the fuck, Fred? Gwen thinks these little things are cute, but Guy is wise to this bullshit. They then notice one of them appears to be hurt and limps toward the rest of the group. Gwen decides to come out and say hi, but Guy stops her, asking if any of these losers have ever even watched the show. Gwen counter-argues, saying that they're going to help the hurt little one. And they do. By putting it out of its fucking misery. This is why I watch sci-fi movies. Helps prepare my brain for bullshit like that. Gwen says they should leave before one of those things kills Guy, but Jason takes control, stating that they need to get the beryllium sphere, or else the Protector won't be going anywhere. Jason devises a plan, however, and uses episode 81 as an example. Guy freaks out, though, because, as we all know,
I died at episode 81!
Alex doesn't want to take orders from Jason and shoots him down. However, all the little children things are gone now. Jason goes over the plan again and then moves out to get the sphere. Wait a minute. Those spheres in the back, they look like... Mata Nui, the Matoran, they're in danger! I love Bionicle. Tommy and Guy see the others grab the sphere, but notice something dangerous. They rush to warn the others that they are everywhere, and they move quickly with the sphere as they are pursued by thousands of little demon spawns. They make it back to the shuttle, and Alex tells Jason to get in, but they argue about who should get to play hero, so Jason puts him on his ass. Jason tries to get in, but unfortunately, he's left behind, and the shuttle takes off on autopilot without him. The company is going to fine us for that. We'll never meet the quota now. The children aren't sure what to make of Tim Allen, just like most of America these days, and decide the best thing for him is to smash his face in with a rock. When Jason wakes up, he finds himself facing a pig lizard thing. Fortunately, he's in contact with the Protector and is able to hold his own against the vile creature. The children are all chanting Gorignac, which is believed to be what they call the creature. Gwen says they're going to use the digital conveyor to help get him out of there. Digital conveyor being their term for transporter beams. Jason doesn't like the idea of being deconstructed and takes his chances with the pig. And honestly, the whole thing with the transporters, like, there's a theory, okay, that if you go into a transporter and you get deconstructed, the question is it really you who gets reconstructed at the other end? Or is it just a copy, and the actual you is dead? That's kind of fucked up, isn't it? Gwen tries to assure that it's safe, but Teb is honest and says that it's never been successfully tested. It's accommodated for human anatomy, not Thermian. Naturally. So Teb hands the controls over to Fred, since he did this in the show. Fred isn't so confident about his ability to do it, but they decide to test it on the pig lizard. Teb, what were the results of this test?
But the animal is inside out.
I heard that. It turned inside out?
And it exploded.
Jason decides that he'd rather just get picked up, but the children are still chanting Gorignac. Tommy tells Teb to hit the translation circuit, and it reveals the children have been saying rock this whole time. I guess they liked Moana too. Well, the children flee and, well...
What the hell are you talking about?
I see what's happening, yeah. You're face to face with greatness and it's strange. You don't even know how you feel. Oh, darn. Oh. What can I say except you're welcome?
So Jason is now being pursued by the rock golem from Blade and Sorcery and decides his best chance now is to get beamed up. Fred still doesn't feel confident and keeps trying to weasel out of it because he fears failure. Everyone tries giving horrible advice like go for the weak spot or what's its motivation. It's all on Fred at this point, but his fear of messing up is too powerful. Jason then acts as a true commander and says exactly what Fred needs to hear. He can do this. He just stopped trying, and he knows that Fred will save him. He's feeling better about it. Then the Thermian girl walks in, and Fred is suddenly motivated to prove that he's the greatest tech sergeant on any ship. He zips up his suit and takes the controls, lining up his target, and in the nick of time...
Digitize me, Fred! You're welcome!
Oh, wow.
Fred did save Jason and impressed the Thermian girl. Everyone has a moment to celebrate, and with the sphere now in place, the ship is up to full power. Jason then says that they are ready to go home, and that the Thermians should do the same. Except, the Thermians reveal that they don't have a home to return to. They are all that is left of their race. Jason apologizes for not understanding and requests Mathazar to be present on the bridge. But they aren't responding. Then, Saris, along with his evil alien marines, storm in and take control. The cast is now taken prisoner and sent to meet with Mathazar, who is already captured. Mathazar believes that Commander Taggart will save him, as he always does in the historical documents. Saris puts him down, but Jason gets up and tells Saris to back off. Saris does so and demands to know what the Omega-13 device does. Jason tells him that he doesn't know, but Saris decides to torture Mathazar to make Jason talk. But since Jason really doesn't know, Saris escalates to something more personal, ordering the Marines to take Gwen as a prisoner. Jason finally admits that he isn't the commander, and Saris stops for a moment, demanding an explanation. Jason tells Gwen to tell the computer to show the historical documents of the Galaxy Quest tapes. The computer plays the show, and Saris begins to laugh proudly, saying that they have done far greater damage than he ever could have. He then orders Jason to confront Mathazar about who he really is. This scene was really sad first time I watched it. Still is. It's like telling a child Santa isn't real, and then watching the joy and happiness leave their body. Jason does everything he can to apologize, but Mathazar is so confused. The ship is on the screen, but it's just a miniature. But inside he sees many rooms. But they're all just cheap movie sets. The illusion begins to falter for Mathazar, and all he can ask is why. Jason tries to explain that on Earth, we entertain others by pretending to be characters, and Mathazar falls into a depressed state, as Jason apologizes profusely. Saris then orders his lieutenant to hardwire the reactor core to overload, to destroy the ship. Mathazar demands to know what will happen to his people, and Saris decides to trap them in the barracks and suffocate them. As for the cast, now shamed for their deception, are taken to an airlock to be jettisoned into space. Jason then hatches a plan.
You're starting to act like you did in episode 17. You scene-stealing hack.
Oh, right.
So the two begin a fake argument that fake escalates into a fake on-scene battle between Alex and Jason, who may or may not be fake hitting each other. And then both notice a real pry bar, and Jason reaches for it, really hitting the alien Marine in the face. Then Alex rushes to the second Marine, pushes him down. Alex grabs the gun, while the cast work together to shove the remaining Marine into the airlock.
Sorry, the door's a little sticky. Did you see that? I'll get one of my boys up here with a can of WD-40.
The crew has escaped custody and take a moment to celebrate the win. Before Alex and Jason can get into a real argument, though, Gwen directs their attention to the screen. The Thermians are dying. The cast, with no words, move out together with Jason at the lead. Saris learns that the ship is ready to blow, and they depart. Meanwhile, the cast sneak around the ship. Gwen tells the computer to stop the meltdown, but the computer can't comply. Jason then devises a plan. Gwen and Jason will shut down the core while Fred, Guy, and Alien Woman go find a way to shut off the valve so the Thermians don't run out of air. Alex is to pry the door open in case they can't get to the valve to shut it down. As for Tommy, well, he's going to practice driving. The team disperses. Gwen points out that neither she or Jason knows how to shut down a neutron reactor. However, Jason knows someone who does.
Hello?
Brandon is about to have the best day of his life. Jason gets Brandon on the line and explains how they traded Voxes at the convention, seeming to feel a little guilty about what happened before. And Brandon goes off on him, saying that he knows that it's just a TV show and it's not real and all that stuff.
Hold.
I know there's no
Wait a minute. Stop for a second. Stop. Wait.
No ship.
It's all real. Oh my God, I knew it. I knew it!
Jason explains that he and the crew are in danger and he needs his help. Meanwhile, Alex is sneaking his way to the Thermian barracks when he looks up and realizes that Quellic is hiding right above him. Quellic then tells Alex that he avoided capture by using Dr. Lazarus's Mokhtar stealth face. Alex then tells Quellic to follow him, and Alex takes point. Meanwhile, Brandon is guiding Jason and Gwen through the ship as much as possible, but then decides that he needs backup from his fellow Questerian, Kyle. Fred, Guy, and Alien Girl make it to the engineering, but discover that it's crawling with Marines. Kyle hops in the chat, and Brandon tells him that it's time to get to work and asks for Kyle's map on the NSEA Protector's utility system. Kyle has one part of the map established, but fellow Questerian Hollister has the rest. Brandon instructs Kyle to get everybody online. Meanwhile, Tommy is watching young Laredo on the Galaxy Quest TV show and finds himself getting in tune with his childhood wonder again. I love this movie so much. Saris, now aboard his ship, receives word that the cast has escaped. He orders in a rage to find them immediately.
The core implosion is not reversible.
Jason and Gwen make their way through the ducts, guided by Brandon, who's doing an okay job.
There will be a slight drop.
Fortunately, they make it. But meanwhile, Alex and Quellic move together and arrive at the Thermian barracks. Jason and Gwen are instructed by Brandon to move across the small bridge. All the while, he's nerding out, as he should. He points out that he's so giddy because they're standing under the Omega-13 device. Gwen isn't very impressed, stating that it's just a big fan. That is, until they look up. They then realize that the Omega-13 is something truly spectacular, and they ask Brandon what it does. Brandon says that some believe it to be a weapon, like a bomb, capable of destroying the universe in 13 seconds, while others, like Brandon, believe it is a matter rearranger that can revert time backwards exactly 13 seconds. The conversation is then cut off when Marines arrive with their weapons ready. Fred knows that they've got to turn off the valve somehow, and Guy offers to be the diversion they need to get to the valve. He knows it's suicide, but that's what being crewman number 6 is all about. Then Fred decides that maybe he's not the guy that dies 5 minutes in.
Maybe you're the plucky comic relief? You ever think about that?
Plucky?
Oh, besides, I just had this really interesting idea.
Are you stoned?
Alex and Quellic try to pry the doors open together, and Quellic believes that they can open the door if they use the Mokhtar chant of strength. Alex isn't into it, but for once, he goes along anyways. They chant, Larak Tarath, until the door opens, but only for a brief moment. The Thermians are still trapped. Jason and Gwen follow Brandon's instructions into a location called the Chompers. if you look closely at her lips, she clearly said, fuck. Brandon gets the sequence they need to safely proceed through the chompers. Jason has no idea what the sequence means, and Gwen is complaining about how illogical this room is in its entirety. I agree. What the fuck is this room? Jason grabs her hand, though, and they move together through the chompers. Jason drops his blaster, though, and it gets crushed by the chomper.
Not again. Obi-Wan's gonna kill me.
They make it to the other side after clearing the flaming wall. What the hell is this place?
Whoever wrote this episode should die!
Fred is back at the digital conveyor and seems to be locking onto something back on the planet. He beams it in, and...
You're welcome!
It's the simple things in life you treasure.
Fred's talent earns the wooing of the alien girl, as she kisses him excitedly. Guy is just kind of there and feels a little awkward. And then the tentacles come out and...
Oh, that's not right. No.
It's adorable. Well, it's nice to see that humans never change. Open your eyes, let's begin. Yes, it's really me, it's Maui.
Fred makes it to engineering and reaches the valve. The pressure in the Thermian barracks begins to normalize, and Alex and Quellic open the door, saving the Thermians.
Saved! He has saved us! Commander Taggart has saved us!
It's just not fair.
I'm shot.
Quellic falls to the floor, and Alex drags him behind cover while the Marine's gun jams. Alex holds Quellic in his arms, as Quellic tells him that despite having never met his hero, Dr. Lazarus, he always considered him a father. Finally, Alex gives in and says the line.
Quellic, by Grabthar's hammer, by the sons of Warvan, you shall be avenged.
You are forgiven for crying during this scene. Quellic smiles before finally dying in his hero's arms. And Alex gets angry. He's gonna kill them all now. But not just the men, but the women and the children too. He hates them! Jason and Gwen finally arrive at the reactor, and Brandon says to push the blue button. Wow, that's easy. Okay, button pushed. Why is the timer still going? Jason asks Brandon why it isn't stopping, but Brandon's busy with this thing called doing your goddamn chores. With only 10 seconds to implosion, Jason tries mustering the words to Gwen about his feeling towards her, and they hold each other, ready for the end. 3, 2, 1.
It always stops at 1 on the show. What were you saying?
They did it. They saved the ship from implosion. Saris receives word of this, however, and decides that he's just gonna shoot missiles at it. As they prepare their attack, a war is breaking out against the Thermians and the Marine captors. Jason regroups with Alex, who is kicking ass right now, and he goes with Jason to the bridge. The cast take their positions like in the show and prepare to engage in combat with Saris. Alex sets the plasma armor to full power, and Jason orders the ship into the minefield. The Protector 2 speeds away toward the minefield, and Saris follows in hot pursuit. Jason asks Tommy to get closer to the mines, and at first, Tommy is confused. But he figures out what Jason is up to and moves closer, attracting the mines to follow them. Saris's ship loses track of them for a moment, but reestablishes contact, noticing the Protector 2 is heading directly for them. Saris orders them to open fire, and they fire more missiles at the Protector 2. Jason orders all power to the armor. Saris hails them and taunts them overconfidently. Saris believes that they're counting on him to blink. But Jason thought ahead, you see. For Saris has failed to realize the Protector 2 is dragging mines behind it. Saris runs away in a panic as the Protector 2 moves off course, and the mines decimate the alien ship once and for all. The cast have succeeded and are now a proper spaceship crew. Mathazar enters the bridge, still recovering from his injuries, but excited to see his heroes, who he still avidly believes are the real deal. So Tommy asks if they would like to head home, and Jason gives the order. But Mathazar seems saddened by this news. He was hoping they would stay with him, because his people need a commander. But Jason assures that his people do in fact have a great commander. Mathazar is honored and truly heartwarmed to see his people support this decision. Jason gives the order to fly through the black hole and take them home. Tommy puts the pedal to the metal, and they arrive back in the solar system.
We're out! We're going home.
All systems are good as the Protector 2 sets course for Earth. Alex tries to say something about detecting an energy burst from Saris's ship before they hit the black hole, but it's probably nothing. Fred arrives on the bridge and, what's with the gun? Oh shit! Saris? Oh my god! He's killing everybody! What the fuck? That's not how this movie ended. It's supposed to be a happy ending.
Mathazar! Activate the Omega-13!
Mathazar activates the Omega-13. Jason makes his way to the control chair. The ship's about to completely wreck all of our collective shit.
We're out! We're going home.
All systems are good as the Protector 2 sets course for Earth. Alex tries to say something about detecting an energy burst from Saris's ship before they hit the black hole, but it's probably... Holy shit, Jason, why'd you do that? Whoa! That's Saris? He made it?
Never give up, never surrender.
Tommy exclaims that they can't slow down. The ship can't enter the atmosphere. They must separate, or they are all going to die. Jason thanks Mathazar, and Mathazar orders crew to the secondary deck. They say goodbye, and the Thermians depart for the other deck. The real Fred makes his way to the command deck, and with him, the alien girl, who has decided to stay with Fred. With the cast on board the primary deck, they separate from the main vessel and adjust course to Earth, as the Protector 2 flies by, now under 100% Thermian control. This is either a good or bad thing. The fate of the universe will decide this later. Brandon's parents notice Brandon with many Roman candles, and he explains that the ship came in too fast and they're going to use the Roman candles to guide it in. His parents have no idea what he said and are just happy he's outside. The ship enters the atmosphere, and the Roman candles help to guide them in. Right into the convention. The convention goers are all confused at the strange UFO that just landed in front of them when the door opens, and out comes Tommy. The speaker gets on the mic and introduces him, still confused as to what just happened, but going with it anyways. They must be paying him good money. Brandon and his friends make it, and Gwen steps out next. Guy follows afterward, amazed that he somehow didn't die. Fred then hobbles out with Alien Girl, and we then see that Saris is still not dead. Alex steps out next, followed by Jason. The fans go crazy, and the cast hug each other, glad to be on solid ground again. But Saris steps out, rifle in hand. Jason rolls, blaster ready, and with one shot, zaps the ugly Muppet into nothing. Saris is dead. The cast has made it, and the crowd goes wild. Jason kisses Gwen and gives the NSEA salute to Brandon and his friends, who arguably are the true heroes of this story. And with that, the cast takes a bow after completing the role of a lifetime. Except their journey is not over yet, because now, after 18 long years, Galaxy Quest is back on the air. The original cast all returning with 2 new additions. Jane Doe as Leiliari, which, I'm going to say it now, I'm aware her name throughout the movie was Leiliari, but I didn't like how hard it was to say over and over again, so I just went with an alternative name to make my life a bit easier while reading the script. This thing is currently at page 27. This was a big one. But I love her character, and it's nice to see her find a happy ending alongside Fred, who is my favorite character in the movie. Of course, we also have Security Chief Rock Ingersoll, played by none other than our homeboy, Guy Fleegman. He finally got a last name. With the future now looking brighter than ever, the CGI spaceship jumps away, and the credits roll. And that was Galaxy Quest. You know, I'm glad we got to finally watch this one, and what a movie to end the year with. At one point, an Amazon show was even considered for Galaxy Quest, with everybody ready to reprise their roles. Even Alan Rickman apparently excited to return. But unfortunately, Alan passed away before this could happen. And without Alexander Dane, it just wouldn't be Galaxy Quest. So the project never saw the light of day. But I think it shows that despite their disagreements on set regarding how to conduct themselves, they ended up bonding over the film so much that they were willing to return. This was a movie that truly wanted to capture the magic of classic Star Trek, being a parody of the sci-fi genre while also treating it with reverence and respect. Understanding that the goal of the movie was never to mock, but to celebrate. The original cast for Star Trek would watch this movie and praise it for its incredible depiction of science fiction in the real world. The cast, the fans, the Thermians who straight up made the ship real, all surrounded themselves around a franchise that was loved for whatever Galaxy Quest was. If it was anything like Star Trek, then yeah, it's easy to see the appeal. Star Trek is a series that was praised not only for its fun sci-fi premise, but for its progressive outlook on the world, and is looked at now as a truly bold TV show because of how it broke down social barriers, having people from different nationalities come together for the single purpose of space exploration. It was something that filled people at the time with optimism. Star Trek embodied optimism. The future was always made to seem brighter, better, something to be excited about. Though, if you've kept up with the news throughout this year, you might find that difficult to do anymore. I mean, we've got wars going on. AI is getting better at masking itself. There's a lot of greed, a lot of pain, and it sucks. I found it easy at one point in my life to just give in to cynicism and accept that nothing will ever get better. And when you give in to that, you think you have somehow adapted and become smarter than other people. But you just turn into an asshole. It was so easy to give up. And it was a struggle to get out. But I was tired of the cynicism and sought out my old sci-fi movie collection, watched a few and remembered why I loved this genre in the first place. And with my friends' support, I've continued making these videos once a month since I began, and I'm wanting to continue that into the next year. Because I love making them, and I love this genre, and I want to keep talking about it for as long as I can. I'm happy to get to share this love with all of you. Whether you've been here before or this is your first visit, thank you for sticking with me to the end. It's been a tough year, with a lot of ups and downs, but no matter how challenging things get, never give up, never surrender. This is the Captain, signing off, and I'll see you next year.
Well, Captain, we secured the ship. All the controls were unlocked for some reason, and luckily, no signs of Blorgs anywhere.
Oh, thank God. If I ever see another Blorg again, it's gonna be too soon, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm. Anything else we should do?
Maybe change the shirt.
Yeah.